Hello and welcome to episode number 078 of Something Else with Aria and Not KJ. My name is Aria and welcome to tonight's show. So, obviously, I'm not starting this show with our normal pomp and circumstance and our fun little theme song that we play. And um, I don't really know how long this show might go. Um, At the moment, I'm not planning on talking about Mid-South, but if I get through my main topic in 10 minutes, I'll pull up Mid-South, then get into that. But for now, that's going to be next week. So today's topic, the primary topic, is Vince McMahon. And over the past year or so, we have talked about the journey of Vince McMahon's retirement, when he forced himself back into the company. And now it's all come full circle with his forced resignation, because let's be honest, he was not resigning on his own free will here. His forced resignation due to the horrific allegations against him right now by one of the women that he had an NDA with. And we're going to talk about all that here. And go from there. And, you know, if you're listening to this, you've obviously been a wrestling fan, probably for a while. I've mentioned I've been a wrestling fan, for pretty much my entire life. It's been going on 33 years at this point. I've never felt dirty to be a wrestling fan. And to be honest, even now, I don't feel dirty. I feel dirty for thinking about all the money that I've given this man over the years. And, I'm sure that there are a few people out there with the same feeling. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you know, by us being such crazed fans, we're the ones that got him the $5 billion deal with Netflix. We're the ones that got him, the original deal with Fox, the insane deals with the USA Network, the last couple for Raw and SmackDown. Yeah, it's Vince capitalizing on all this, but it's us as fans that supported him in his endeavor for decades of our lives. And, you know, it this isn't a fair comparison for a number of reasons, but in a lot of ways, it's like going back right now and watching a Chris Benoit match and realizing you were celebrating this while it was going on. And there was nothing necessarily wrong with you celebrating it when it was happening, but it's like after the fact, you just feel wrong about it. You just feel a little dirty about it. And at this point, you can't undo your years and decades of support, but you can certainly, you know, start questioning like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck is wrong with Vince? Like, and there's layers to this, and we're gonna try to go over a lot of these layers here. But what the fuck is wrong with him? Like, what would fucking make a human being, you know, do the kinds of things that he has allegedly done? Now, let's be perfectly honest here, and we got to put out this disclaimer. At the moment, all of these allegations are alleged. The things that you can't say aren't allegedly are he definitely had a non-disclosure agreement with this young woman, Janel Grant. He definitely signed it for $3 million, and he definitely only paid her $1 million. So everything else, we've got text messages we're going to read. We're going to read what Miss Grant has filed as part of her lawsuit. And it's technically not 100% proof. And so I'm just going to throw that out of the way and, dive right into this here. So there's been a lot of really good journalism on this topic, and I've watched and I've listened to a lot of audio. I've read a lot of articles, and, you know, go out there, there's a lot of good shit out there on the internet about this. But, I'm going to try to recap this here and try to go on to my thoughts about it. So I'm going to be going back and forth a bit. But the first post, this is from the Wrestle Ops Twitter page. It's basically a brief recap of everything that was posted in the original Wall Street Journal article. A woman who received a payout from WWE boss Vince McMahon has accused McMahon, the company, and a former executive of sex trafficking in a new lawsuit that raises questions about the breadth of an internal company probe conducted by a law firm last year. Janel Grant, a former employee at WWE's headquarters, said in a lawsuit filed Thursday that she was abused and sexually exploited by McMahon while he was the chief executive. She alleged that McMahon lured her with promises of career advancement, and then he allegedly exploited her and trafficked her to other men inside the company. The lawsuit filed in a Connecticut federal court describes in graphic detail Grant's account of interactions with the businessman and TV personality. She alleged that McMahon and another WWE executive locked her in an office in WWE's headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut on June 15th, 2021, and took turns sexually assaulting her while other staff were working. In the middle of another workday on June 23rd, 2021, McMahon locked Grant inside his private locker room at WWE's offices and forced himself on her over a massage table, the suit said. Later that day, McMahon's personal assistant delivered $15,000 in Bloomingdale's gift cards to Grant in her office. The suit also includes screenshots of explicit text messages that McMahon allegedly said to Grant. A May 2020 message said, "I'm the only one who owns you and controls who I want to fuck you." I I keep going back to the what the fuck is wrong with him? Because seriously, he can like he is not a fucking dumb person. Like he's fucking intelligent. He has brains. He had to fucking know that if this is all true, he had to have fucking known that he's not so fucking invincible that he could do this shit and not have anything come back after him. And of course, the other WWE executive, I think by this point everyone pretty much knows, is John Laurinaitis. Um, and you know, there's that. And let's see here. We're gonna jump around a little bit here. We're going to go to the F4WOnline.com report about this. And I mean, they basically say, they do a little bit more recapping of the WrestleOps page did. Um, Now, let's see. The lawsuit alleges Grant felt pressured into a sexual relationship with McMahon due to threats that he would use his legal resources against her if she did not. McMahon's demands grew increasingly depraved through her employment with the company from 2019 to 2021. She was also expected to engage in sexual encounters with Laurinaitis during her employment, according to the lawsuit. And it was also alleged that McMahon promised a sexual encounter with Grant to a WWE wrestler, reportedly by the Wall Street Journal to be Brock Lesnar, during contract negotiations in the summer of 2021. From the report in July 2021, the suit said McMahon instructed Grant to create a personalized sexual content for a WWE superstar he was trying to re-sign. The suit didn't name the professional wrestler, but listed him as both a UFC fighter and WWE talent. People familiar with the matter identified the wrestler as Brock Lesnar. Lesnar didn't immediately respond Thursday to requests for comment, and not, we're ever expecting him to at this point. The suit said McMahon shared explicit photos with the star and informed Grant that he likes what he sees. After the star agreed to a new contract, McMahon texted Grant in August to say that part of the deal was fucking you. That December, McMahon gave Grant's personal cell phone number to the WWE star, the lawsuit said. The wrestler asked her to send a video of herself urinating, the suit said, and after she did, he called her a bitch. That same month, the suit said, the star expressed a desire to set a play date, quote unquote, but a snowstorm disrupted his travel plans. Through all this trauma, Miss Grant has endured profound suffering and silence, feeling of exploitation, loss of security, and the fear of facing the wrath of WWE and McMahon's army of attorneys if she were to come forward to bring light to the egregious acts detailed herein. That time has passed, and Miss Grant seeks to hold defendants accountable for the reprehensible and unlawful acts for her own sake and for others. So, for those who don't know the story, allegedly, Janelle Grant was living in the complex, the same complex as McMahon was at the time, and I believe and sorry, I should probably have looked up this up specifically, but I believe it was um, her elderly parents had passed away and she needed a job. And Vince took advantage of the situation. And that's basically here. And that Vince gave her a job basically in exchange for sex. And I'm not entirely sure. I believe this is the same woman who got hired as a paralegal despite not really having the experience required to be such, and then got promoted to, a vice president role within the company, basically to be with him and John Laurinaitis. I believe that's the same woman here. Yeah, she was given the role of administrator coordinator on June 17, 2019, and she was transferred to talent relations on March 9th, 2021. Additionally, the complaint details encounters during which McMahon caused Miss Grant to sustain physical injuries, including bleeding and pain from forceful use of sex toys. Despite Miss Grant's plea to cease any further sexual activity, the number of sexual encounters increased, as did McMahon's physical aggression during them. Notably, McMahon was most aggressive when using the certain sex toys named after male WWE wrestlers and performers. McMahon named the sex toys so that the color of the toy matched the race of the wrestler. Like, there's a lot of fucked up things in this thing, but I would say that's another one of them. I would say that's pretty. I don't even want to say. I can't even say it's high on the list because there's a lot of shit that's high on the list. But when you were using dildos or whatever sex toys were being used, and you are naming them after your wrestlers. Like, seriously, like, oh, here comes Big E. Big E is going for it. Damn it. Here comes Brock Lesnar. Here comes The Rock. Oh, The Rock has penetrated. Okay, that's probably a little inappropriate, but you get the point here. Like, we all have weird shit that we're all into, but I'll be honest, as obsessed as I've been with wrestling over the years, when I'm having sex, I never once think about wrestling or any wrestlers involved. Because, spoiler alert, of all the people I've slept with, not one, to the best of my knowledge, has been a wrestler, so it never came up. The lawsuit continues that McMahon sent Grant to a quote unquote celebrity doctor for hour-long appointments that included deep dives into her personal and work life. Her mental and physical health deteriorated so bad, McMahon sent her in November to a celebrity doctor for sessions at an alternative clinic where she never received any receipts or bills. McMahon also paid $20,000 to a surgeon on her behalf, the suit said. Who do you think it was? I've heard some theories that, it'd be Dr. Oz, which almost sounds too unbelievable to be true, but also perfectly believable. We'll say that. She did try to work with the XFL full time because she worked there briefly before it got shut down. Her request was denied. Um, let's see here. Oh, great. In May 2020, McMahon began telling Grant that he loved her. Um, and let's see here. In November 2020, McMahon is alleged to have given Grant an ultimatum to either have a sexual encounter in his office or inside the parked car. And then he began directing Grant to have sexual encounters with Laurinaitis before the start of work days. So when you think about it, Vince is probably ha like I can't imagine Laurinaitis being there later than 9 o'clock as the start of a work day. Like I'd be shocked if it really was 9 o'clock, but let's say 9 o'clock. So Johnny Ace, who by the way, to the best of my knowledge, is still married to the Bella twins' mother, um, is leaving home, leaving Nikki and Bree's mom, whose name I don't know. I didn't watch Total Divas. But so he's leaving home, leaving her to go to the office to, for all accounts, forcing himself onto a 30-something-year-old paralegal working in the office who's being, I'll say she's being fucking pimped out. It's exactly what's happening, except I mean, I don't know if Johnny Ace was paying for it. I don't know. Don't think he'd force Brock to pay for it, even if he was forcing Johnny to pay for it. But for all intents and purposes, he's pimping this woman out that he says that he loved. During an encounter in June 21, McMahon allegedly locked Grant inside his private locker, and we talked about this, and forced himself. He said, "No, here's where just what you want to turn your stomach a little bit here, at least the first of many things that made me want to turn my stomach. In the June 2021 encounters at the office, the suit said McMahon and Laurinaitis forced themselves on her, took turns restraining her for the other, while saying no means yes and take it, bitch. I'm sorry, that's rape. Like, I was going to save this for the end, but I might as well get to it now. I don't know, like, I'm sure there's a lot of issues. But how are there not criminal charges being brought up? And maybe that's still to come. I don't fully understand the legal system despite beating it twice. I don't fully understand how it works. I don't know if you can't, like, I, my guess is you can file criminal charges after, a lawsuit. I don't know that for a fact. I also am not sure. Maybe she did go to the police and and let's be honest, sometimes, you go to the police, as a victim, you're made to feel like it's your fault or that that whatever happened to you, somehow you wanted it that way or what have you. And so it's possible that she went to the police and the police gave her the impression that they didn't believe her or that, you know, she was consenting. Maybe that's it. Because it's very possible that she felt no matter through all of this, she felt that by accepting the job, that by continuing to go back, that she was consenting to this relationship. And I'm sorry, like, if what we're reading through all this is 100% the truth, and maybe it's not 100%, maybe it's 95%, let's say if it's 75% truth, let's say if it's 51% truth, this is like sexual assault. There should be criminal charges. And this shouldn't be a, Jimmy Snuka when Vince is too old to know any better type thing. This feels like something that there should be a criminal charge now. And anybody listening to this, it like consent is key. And you can give consent and take it back. So even if she consented in 2019, even if she consented in 2020, the second she says no, the second she says she doesn't want to do this, that's that. And there's no quid pro quo here because that, is just as bad. You cannot fire her because she doesn't want to have sex with you. Like, and yeah, fine. There's probably the, oh, well, she refused to have sex with me. Well, now she's not qualified for a position, or now her, her job isn't up to snuff. She's not performing well enough at her position. And that also would come up in court. Just gonna say, because it happens all the fucking time, you know? And allegedly, it stopped because in January 2022, Vince informed her that Linda had discovered their relationship. And because of that, Janelle would have to leave the company as a result of that. Before, but first she'd have to sign the NDA in exchange for the payments, which I mean, I don't know. I'm not, thankfully, thank God, I'm not in fucking Vince McMahon's head. But that seemed to also coincide with around the time the rumors started that Vince wanted to sell the company. So, in my opinion, it makes perfect sense that, you know, then would be the time to end this illegal relationship or this relationship where you're doing illegal things, cover your ass with an NDA. And then the thing was, he fucked her over on the payment. Like, motherfucker, like, there's a chance, there's a pretty good chance that if you would have given her the $3 million as promised, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about this right now. Who knows? But I'm going to bet, and I've got a few theories I'm going to get to later, but I'll bet if you would have given her the $3 million that he promised and signed that said he would give her, that would be that. But I'm just going to say this and we'll move on to the next part of this. Good for her. Good for her for standing up and stepping out. She is stronger than most of us will ever fucking know because she had the guts to come forward. And right now, and I I'll be honest, I don't completely stay off Twitter. I don't, but I try to avoid the worst of it. I try to avoid people that I know are just going to be dickheads. And I'm sure there are people out there who are like, well, she's getting what she deserves. She's doing this, she's doing that. I'm like, fuck you. Like, seriously, if you're listening to this right now and you're saying that, she got what she deserved or some shit like that, press the back button, press the stop button, unfollow this show if you're listening to this on YouTube, leave. Go listen to another podcast because I don't fucking want you to be listening to this one. And I don't have, 1,000, well, thousands, not that much either. I don't have a million listeners. So maybe alienating one out of my 50 is probably not a good idea. But you know what? I don't want fucking people like that listening, to be perfectly fucking honest. So that was Thursday. As the week moved on into Friday, TKO, the parent company of WWE, issued a statement basically saying that they are addressing the matter internally. And that was pretty much it. They said Mr. McMahon does not control TKO, nor does he oversee the day-to-day operations of WWE. While this matter predates our TKO executive team's tenure at the company, we take Ms. Grant's horrific allegations very seriously and are addressing this matter internally. And later that day, Vince also came out with a statement of his own, denying it and saying that he will vigorously defend himself. Then the shoe fell. Now, the big one that came out, and this is the, and this may have been the reason, it happened. But Slim Jim announced that they were pausing its sponsorship with WWE due to this. Now, I don't think an exact number has ever come out, but WWE has said that the Slim Jim sponsorship is the biggest, in terms of dollars, the biggest sponsorship in company history. And and they were pulling their sponsorship, or they were pausing it, was the term that they used. They were pausing their sponsorship. And it was later that night. It was actually, I think it was during SmackDown that it came out that Vince McMahon had officially resigned from WWE and TKO Group. Nick Khan sent an email out that said, "I want to inform you that Vince McMahon has tendered his resignation from his positions as TKO Executive Chairman and on the TKO Board of Directors. He will no longer have a role with TKO Group Holdings or WWE." Vince McMahon released a statement saying, "I stand by my prior statement that Miss Grant's lawsuit is replete with lies, obscene, made-up instances that never occurred, and is a vindictive distortion of the truth. I intend to vigorously defend myself against these baseless accusations and look forward to clearing my name. However, out of respect for the WWE Universe, the extraordinary TKO business, and its board members and shareholders, partners and constituents, and all of the employees and superstars who helped make WWE into the global leader it is today, I've decided to resign from my executive chairmanship and the TKO board of directors effective immediately." And that, of course, led to Slim Jim coming back on board. Now, I have a theory. And I imagine there's probably a lot of people who've had a similar theory. I have a theory that it wasn't just Slim Jim. Like, they may have paused the deal. They may have officially said, "Yeah, we're out until this all goes away." But you know something? WWE has dealt with sponsor issues in the past. While this undoubtedly is a lot of money, they probably could have found ways to make that up. Probably. But you know what would have been difficult to downright impossible to get back? Their fucking TV deals. Do you think for 1 second that NBC Universal, who just signed SmackDown to, I don't even know the numbers because the Netflix deal was just so absurd. But I think the Netflix deal the USA deal for SmackDown is something like $1 billion, somewhere in that neighborhood. You don't think the CW network that just signed NXT for countless millions of dollars, you don't think fucking Netflix and their 5 billion with a B dollar deal for Raw over 10 years, you don't think at least one, if not all three networks threatened to pull the plug, to shred the contract, to say, "Fuck this, we don't want to do with this shit. If this motherfucker's still here, we're out." I will bet you my left arm that that happened. And I don't have any inside sources. I have zero inside sources. Actually, I'm sorry, I've got one, and I never actually reach out to her much. And I certainly would have reached out to her for this. But I will bet you every dollar I have that at least one of their network partners, fucking Fox. I bet Fox said something. And Fox, as a corporation, is very aware of sexual harassment lawsuits. considering their news branch had to put in a whole fucking bunch of money to people over the years for different people who work for them. You don't think that they're sitting here like, hey, motherfucker, what the fuck's going on here? You know, and they could even say, fine, we're not going to assume guilt, but until this shit's over, motherfucker, get out of here or your show's off the air. Because you can replace, I don't know how fucking much a Slim Jim sponsorship is, but to throw out a number, let's say over how many years that is, it's a $50 million sponsorship. It may not happen overnight, but you can replace a $50 million sponsorship. Try to fucking replace $7 billion of TV deals, approximately. Because again, I'm not sitting here with the numbers in front of my face for the USA deal or for the CW deal. Well, let's say it's approximately $7 billion. That is not being replaced overnight. And yeah, I'm sure someone will say, well, TNT was interested and FX was interested. You think if Netflix would have said, fuck you, we don't want you, or USA would have dropped them, or fucking CW would have dropped them during all this, that fucking TNT, who has such control over AW, and I'm going all over the place here. But by the way, in case you were unaware of this, AEW is not allowed to put any merchandise on TV that AOL Time Warner doesn't approve of, or WBD, excuse me. WBD doesn't approve. They have got to approve of everything that's being worn. Actually, not even that. They have to approve of everything that's being sold by AEW. Just gonna throw that out there. But you don't think that conglomerate that's so that will fight over a t-shirt that says scissor me daddy ass, by the way, legitimately, you don't think that they would sit here and go, you know what? No. You just got thrown off this network because you're siding with this guy. Fucking A, if Spike TV was offering TNA $7 billion in 2013, Dixie Carter would not have re-signed Vince Russo. And Dixie fucking lost her company or was willing to lose her company over keeping Russo on the payroll. But there's a fucking dollar amount that makes you at some point go, you know what? No. I'm sorry, Vince. And that's where it gets to where Vince could not be forced out. As part of the deal with Endeavor, he could not be forced out. He had to go willingly. Thus why I'm saying he resigned. Because I guarantee you it was not his choice to resign. Like, he does not have the voting power in this company. For fuck's sake, Ari Emanuel could have gone to him and said, resign or we're folding the company. Like, because these are the kind of allegations that will sink a company. And in theory, Vince would know this since he went through the all those sexual assault allegations in '92. Now, does Vince ever come back? Here's where, continues to get a little screwy here because it's like in some ways when that guy that owned the LA Clippers that time before Steve Ballmer, like he still owned the fucking team. In order for him to be kicked out entirely, he would have to sell the team, and his reward for, or his punishment for being banished from basketball was billions of dollars. Vince McMahon is still a major shareholder of WWE. He's not the majority shareholder. He does not have the ability to force himself back in at this point. So if Vince was 30 years younger, I would say, hey, maybe if this all blew over in 10 years, maybe. But Vince is fucking almost 80. He's done. Done, done, done. And I'm not even saying he should come back in 10 years. I'm saying he could have. Because I guarantee, I guarantee in 5 years, you know, most people just feel like, whatever. But yeah, but he's gone. He's done. And we're now living in a world, and this has been mentioned before, where there are no McMahons, by blood anyway, in World Wrestling Entertainment. Now, Janelle Grant's lawyer was on the Law and Crime Network. Her name is Ann Callis. He said that she said that Grant was physically and mentally destroyed by what she alleges McMahon did to her during her tenure at WWE, later stating Grant literally felt caged and imprisoned by Vince McMahon and the escalation of degrading things that happened to her. It's important for it to come out. And that went on there. There have been some very disturbing things that have come out, about things that have allegedly happened. Like Vince accidentally, hopefully, relieving himself on her. That came out. And there's a whole bunch of text messages. I'm going to read some of them here in a little bit. So just warning ahead of time, it's going to get a little graphic. So you might want to step away if, it's too much. I do want to make comment on Triple H's comments after the Royal Rumble that, you know, he's doing this WWE press conference, and I'm sure I've complained and bitched about pro wrestling press conferences, especially since I kept being invited to AEW press conferences, never getting called on to ask a question, and then listening to some of the most preposterous questions imaginable being asked. But finally, at the end of the day, during these Royal Rumble press conferences, a couple people asked Triple H about this whole situation. Um, and he basically said he wasn't going to answer anything and focusing on the positives of the week, like, 40, 50,000 people at the Royal Rumble and, the ratings going up and the Netflix TV deal and all that shit. And Triple H said he never read the lawsuit. He's not even entirely sure what's in it, which, come on, dude, that's bullshit. Dude. And there's some arguments about why would Triple H's job is head of creative. Why would he be, expected to answer? Like, because he's an officer of the company and putting himself out at a press conference. And at no point, like they could have had, they air these things on Peacock. They could have had Byron Saxton announce that, that they wouldn't be answering questions regarding it. They could have done that before they even put it on Peacock. Because like it starts with Byron just introducing it like that. They could have said, before we begin, the questions are going to be about this, and we're not going to ask questions regarding that, whatever. They could have done that and moved on with their lives. But Hunter, as an officer of the company, accepting questions from the media, especially if you're going to pretend that it's a legitimate press, you have to fucking go ahead and ask these questions. You know, Hunter was asked, what is being done to make sure people in positions of power can't take advantage of employees under them? Hunter answered, everything possible. Okay. So let me move on here and we're gonna read some text messages here. Let me find them here to pull them up. Now, again, with the same disclaimer, these are allegedly text messages uh between Vince and Janelle Grant. Allegedly, we're not gonna bother pointing out the amount of effort that it would take to Photoshop text messages and then the amount of figurative shit that she would get into if she were to submit these to a court. So this is first from May 11th, 2020. I love it. That's you, Janet, or Janelle. You just can't get enough, can you? In the future, it's going to be so bad that you'll demand to be fucked twice a day and not just with, I'm assuming, Johnny Ace, because the name's redacted, in a three-way. Why not let others see the beautiful, voluptuous body and watch you shake uncontrollably when you come? They'll go out of their minds. Then I'll find more friends and will tie you up so you're helpless. I'll direct them to have their way any way they want. Who can make you scream the loudest? Maybe I'll just line them up and have them squirt in your mouth, your pussy, and all over your tits and ass all at the same time. You'll be covered in cum and we'll make you eat it all and taste everyone's cum. The next morning you'll be a little sore, but you're still going to want more. By the way, in case the days and years aren't ringing a bell, this is in the middle of the pandemic. This is during, the stay-at-home orders. This was actually the fucking day after the Money in the Bank show to be, even more on the dot here. Regarding your last picture, you need your panties ripped off and oh my God. It's one of those things I should have read these ahead of time just to know what the hell is like I read them, I didn't read them, kind of thing. Regarding your last picture, you need your panties ripped off and three big black dicks in all three holes at the same time. Way up your pussy, way up your ass as far as they will go, but even further. See, I know how this shit works. And the thickest cock goes down your throat, so it makes you gag and convulse as those big black hawks pound away. It feels like it from the start. You're being assaulted, but it's made you come nonstop. This is a fucking. I'll tell you what. This is fucking Vince trying to be 50 Shades of Grey here. Um, just one continuous, constant orgasm. He really doesn't know how that works. And just before you pass out, those big black dicks squirt their loads of cum inside you. As you lay on your stomach, the cum is coming out of all of your holes. I'll turn you over and jack off all over you. I who I get at this point I'm focusing on the wrong thing, but in this fucking situation at this point, who do you think Vince was talking about when he was talking about three big black dicks? And we've entered some crazy territory here on this show today. So we're just gonna throw this out here. Do you think for a second that when he was picturing three big black dicks penetrating her, that he was thinking about the fucking New Day? Like I'm just being fucking serious here. Like at this point, because like at this point, he nothing is fucking off topic. Nothing is fucking off limits, or whatever. This is like, for, like he fucking names his dildos after WWE wrestlers. So yeah, I believe that that could fucking happen. That he's sitting here and picturing the fucking New Day having their way with her. And for all the crap you hear about fucking everything here, it's like, fucking, Vince and his fucking voyeurism apparently, but he his dream fantasy is watching three men have their way with her and then coming on her afterwards. And she's apparently going to be orgasming nonstop during this. Moving on, around this time, McMahon openly shared explicit photographs and salacious stories about Miss Grant with WWE crew at TV tapings, a group McMahon also referred to as her quote unquote fan club. Indeed, McMahon exuberantly messaged her a quote unquote truthful story of having just shared explicit content of her with a group of 12 men on the WWE tech crew and recounted the obscene details he shared with them. And this is from July 21st, 2020 at 8:59 p.m. And yeah, still middle of the pandemic. So, middle of the pandemic, probably in the middle of a fucking taping for Raw or SmackDown. I just passed my phone around to a bunch of guys on the tech crew. They were screaming, exclamation point, exclamation point. OMG, she's fucking beautiful. Look at that ass. I'd like to get that. I paused to count out loud how many guys there were. 12. And I then said, okay, there's 12 of you, and she would love to fuck each and every one of you at one time. The guys cheered. But she will only do it if she takes 3 at the time. She wants one deep in her ass, one way down in her throat and her pussy, and you can pound her and keep on pounding until you pop your load. Again, I get he was obsessed with wrestling, but I mean, I picture 15-year-olds texting each other like this. She may scream and try to say no, although it would be difficult to say anything with a cock down her throat. Ha ha ha. I then said, uh, I said, listen, no matter what, when they just pound away till you squirt, baby, these guys were having a blast with me. Some of them didn't believe me, so I said, you were the greatest fuck in the world. No matter how much you get, you always want more. And then I said, she loves cum. Baby, these techs, as we call them, we're having the time of their lives listening to my truthful story. I then said, you would take a 10-minute break between each fucking, but then you would get back on your hands and knees with your ass in the air and say, okay, I'm ready. Who's next? LOL. I drove them wild, baby, or I should say, you drove them wild. Just imagined if this really happened, baby, how much cum you would have coming out of your holes. Yes, when an almost 80-year-old man can't even write the word you, especially with every fucking thing else he's saying. With every fucking thing else he's saying, by the way, 78 years old, Vince McMahon. He can't write you. Yes, right. You. If my brother's listening to this, he's going, yeah, that's how Arya reads text messages like that. Even though I'm as guilty as anybody else with talking like that. So, moving on. McMahon also indicated on April 2, 2021, that Miss Grant should obey if Laurinaitis wanted to bring in yet more men. Maybe he wants 2 other guys to join you with him. Holy shit, you've told him you would do anything with him. So if he surprised you with 2 others, you would have no alternative than to take them on. Omga, the stories you would could tell me then. It makes me want to come right now. By the way, I just thought of what I think is an excellent idea. Maybe you can hint that if he knows someone who can be discreet, it might be better if you and Johnny try him out first so he can get more comfortable before he's introduced to me. Actually, that makes total sense, doesn't it? So he wanted her and Johnny Ace to go scout out a 4th person to have sex with before they brought them to see Vince. I'm going to have to zoom in on this one here. 1 second. On May  24th, 2021, McMahon messaged Miss Grant to remind her that a mistake could destroy her career and that she should pursue verbal communication rather than written where possible. So he knew what he was fucking doing. Like, motherfucker. These compliments will keep on coming, baby. Just wait and see. I totally understand and agree regarding being scared of communication and photos. Johnny gets drunk and sloppy. By the way, this one wasn't redacted. Johnny gets drunk and sloppy and could easily make a mistake that could cost him his job and yours too. Verbal communication is the way to go. That said, have you and Johnny talked about breakfast tomorrow? And by the way, this is the first time in all these texts that I've read that she's actually responded, or at least we see her response. We haven't discussed it at all. It's up in the air. Johnny complained about getting a new phone and it just arrived. I haven't set up time to coordinate it. I haven't set up time to coordinate setting it up with IT because I need him to assure me that he's erased everything he's ever saved. Truly, I regret that he ever got pics. It's not worth the stressing I'm feeling. I'm done with it. God. McMahon continued to advertise a sexual encounter with Miss Grant, the WWE superstar, during the formal negotiation of a new booking contract with WWE. Here's what Brock said after I told him that part of the deal was fucking you. LOL, that's your turf. She will be ruined after me and leave your ass. Plus, after me, your tool won't fit anymore. Smiley face, smiley face, smiley face, smiley face, smiley face. That is Brock Lesnar, the W former WWE champion, the guy who was supposed to get eliminated by Dominic Mysterio during the Royal Rumble. This thing is 67 pages long. And is every word in it true? I guess that's up to the court of law. We'll see if this even gets the court. Because if Vince McMahon, by the way, here's your story about Rita Chatterton coming back here again. Vince McMahon has famously said that he does not settle court cases. Like Jericho said in his book that at one point Jericho was being sued for something, and Vince, you know, I think it was Jericho and WWE was being sued, and Jericho, refused to, or not Jericho refused to, Vince refused to settle because if he settles, then every person will just sue him to get a check. So he doesn't settle and would rather go to court and pay his lawyers a bunch of money. So what does it tell you when he does settle, like he did with Rita Chatterton? Take that for what it's worth. Now, I personally believe that there's not a chance in hell this is going to court. I think he'd have to be a fucking idiot. It doesn't even matter if everything in here is completely false. If he's not seriously sitting here and trying to get this fucking thing settled, then he's a fucking idiot because he just saw what happened with his boy Trump, getting a verdict against him. You don't think that they're going to sit here and they're going to look at the numbers. It doesn't matter if they're WWE's numbers. They're going to look at the number and put WWE with Vince McMahon and know this much money and say, okay, we give her $500 million. We give her $1 billion. Like, really? Like, this, this could fucking break the guy. Like, really? Like, they could put in so much money that he's legitimately fucked. And, you know, I'm not going to be the person to sit here and say, oh, he would deserve to this, that, and the other thing. But I'm telling you, it it is what it is. If he's gonna fuck around like this, if he's gonna, I'll be honest, break the law. This, like, again, there should be a fucking criminal charge about this. I don't know how, don't know where, don't know what is going on, but he should be fucking, there should be a criminal charge. There's going to be so much more that comes out about this, and I wish her nothing but the best. I hope she stays strong. I hope that whatever comes out of this, she comes out of this strong and she just gets better. Because she's got a long life ahead of her. She's 30 years old or in that range. She has a long life ahead of her, and I wish her nothing but the best. But for now, I'm feeling a little dirty. I need to go take a fucking shower at this point. Vince McMahon, if this is true and if there is an afterlife, then dude, rotten fucking hell. Because at this fucking point, you lost your wife. By the sounds of it, you've lost your kids because Stephanie, left the fucking company rather than deal with you twice. Shane, the stories come out that he was trying to get Shane involved in some of this shit back 20 years ago. And part of that's why he left in 2008, 2009, because he couldn't fucking deal with him anymore. You know, and you know what? When shit like this happens, you not only lose your family, you start losing your friends. And Vince, I don't know how many fucking friends you actually have or had, but I'm gonna bet that number is going down. So that's gonna do it for the show. I want to thank you all for listening. I hope I didn't ramble too much, and we'll talk to you again in a week. Bye.